This is the old Thrustmaster shifter. There's a link in the description to the TDI Club page where I show the initial concept. About 6 years ago, I decided to use it as the shifter for my Volkswagen for the 5-speed. Here's what it looks like after 5 years. That top has been replaced at least once. And that's the hat switch. So everything was still working until the switch snapped off. So this is a replacement switch. Luckily, I had another one in my stash that was identical. And speaking of things that are identical, oh man, it's awesome. Anyway, so I took it out to repair the switch, which is all repaired. Put it back in, tested, everything works. But you can see the plastic is just wasted. Like there also used to be a rubber pad here. But that shrank and eventually fell off. It was bizarre. This has been cracked for a while, but it's all worn smooth here from using it, right? You can see there's the original texture down here. A little bit of texture down there. This is all worn smooth from using it for like 6 years and over 100,000 miles, I guess. I work in kilometers though, so 160,000, plausible, sure. There's the other side. I drilled some holes just recently, just after I did this repair, and after I ordered the new one, I decided, well, I'll drill holes in the old one because the old one's all messed up and cracked anyway. So there's a new switch in there. But the really exciting thing is not this old thing, is the fact that I bought a brand new one, which I've already cut the top of. So I'll insert a picture of just before I took it apart. Right, so here's the brand new one. And funny thing is the old one only had one screw that was still holding. There's the inside at the top. That's stripped, or no, that wasn't stripped. That was smashed out the other side, so that wasn't usable. This one was snapped off, I think, to insert the shift rod up here. But this time I'm going to drill a hole through the shift rod in my car because the car is older, and I'm going to do it right this time. And these two are not stripped out, but they busted off this side. But looky here, brand new, absolutely identical unit right here. So these holes, there's 5 screws. When I took those out, each one had like perfect, exact factory crack sound of being pulled out for the very first time since 1997, I'm guessing. April 11th, 1997 is when this thing was manufactured. So what's that? 20 years? 20 years this thing has been waiting to be installed in my Volkswagen. So yeah, good screw bosses. Top hat, no problem. I'm just going to swap that one in because it's a direct fit. Swap over all the wiring. All the switches will swap over. This one will be this button will be replaced by that switch for the ignition. And on this side, all of the see, that's what that's supposed to look like. These things snapped out long ago. That one snapped out. That one's good. So look at the other side. Oh, there's a grip there. That just needs a little cleaning, but look at that. Look at the original finish on there. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Sorry for swearing there. Look at that finish on there. It's just got a little bit of dust in there. This side still got that grip that goes all the way around. It's still perfectly fitted because, like I said, on mine, it actually, I must have cleaned it with something. I left it in the sun too many times. It actually shrank. There was it was like a 1/4 inch in all the way around, and then it just fell off. And then I tried to re-glue it. It's never the same though. Oh, brand new, brand new. So that's gonna go in. So again, I'll leave a link in the description to the Thrustmaster shifter TDI Club thread in the forums where you see like the whole history of the last 6 years of this thing, wiring it for first just driving the car with it, and then wiring it for cruise control and for the ignition. Sorry, ignition first because the ignition broke on the car, and then cruise control later because I thought it'd be fun, and it is fun. It's totally fun. So, yeah, pretty excited to put this in the car and put it in properly. So not just duct tape around the thing and, crank on these screws and have them snap. I'm going to drill a hole through the shifter for that, and I'm going to make sure to put in the right spacing here so that these don't just break off when tightened down. That's the thing. This needs to be clamped over something of that thickness. So just putting a couple washers in there should do it, and that way these guys won't pull out like they did on here. That's a rookie mistake. The best thing about working on cars is sometimes you get to do it over again. So I told my wife, she's like, yeah, in life you don't always get do-overs. So I get to do it right this time. I get to turn back the clock and do it over. It's kind of a special thing. Anyway. Alright, so we've got everything into the brand new stick here. Routed the wires as best I could. Only 2 of them broke off out of the 16 that I ran in here. You could probably do this with less wires. You could have a common or something. But I just wanted to keep things, in my mind, simple. So I used these network cables, and I found a couple that had solid colored wires. Some of them have these annoying stripes on the wires that are really hard to follow, but these ones had solid wires. So when I originally did this, it made it a lot easier because they're so nice and colorful and easy to tell apart. So yeah, instead of having any commons, they all just terminate down there. All 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1 around the back is 4 switches, 2 wires each, and 1 hat switch up there, 4 positions, which I use for cruise control. And I have the beautiful Volkswagen thing on there, man. Oh, I can't wait. So here's the moment where the 2 halves come together, and I want to share it with you. With one hand. Bottom snapped in. Should do this with 2 hands. Need a tripod or something. It's probably just the big bulky thing on the back. Oh yes, yes. Oh. Yeah, never mind that glue there. You never see that when you're in the car. What you see when you're in the car is this, dude. Oh man, look at that. It's a place for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. Oh, a little dirt there. Okay, so when I go to start the car, use my pinky there. Flip that up. That turns on the ignition. As a safety, I have to hold down both of these for it to start, so I usually put my thumb on there, and then that starts the car. Once it's running, once you're on the highway, you can set cruise by pulling down. That's set or slow down. This is resume or speed up is up. And then cancel is the big button there. And so much fun. So now I just have to mount that extremely securely to the gear stick. So I had to cut out a little channel there for the wires to come out. But I'm pretty happy with the way this is going. It feels great. It's solid. It's solid. I just have to mount it solid. Alright, we're ready to mount in the car. And this is what I'm talking about. I want to drill a hole through here for that stud. And hopefully with a little bit of tape in here, this is a pretty close fit. Put a little bit of tape on there so that this has something to clamp onto. Make sure there's washers on these two to take up the space. And this will sit down just a little bit and that'll come through. That'll be a solid post. I think last time I actually made the mistake of snapping this post off, sliding this down and doing it that way. But this time I'm going to do it right. I'm going to modify the car, which I was afraid to do before. I guess because it was too new. It was only 10 years old at that point. Now it's 17 years old. I'm not afraid to drill a hole through the shifter. And it'll sit just below that. But that'll be nice. I already checked. It doesn't interfere with the cup holders. If we go around the other side, maybe take my light with me. It'll sit up nice and high. Go with the Transformers theme there. Woohoo. Let's do this. So I know you're probably thinking that guy's going to freehand a hole through a round shaft. That's impossible. And I did think about taking this out, but when you take out those two screws, this does not come out. And he probably, if it did come out, it would never go back together. I mean, it's got that spring under there, and for shifting into reverse, the lockout or whatever, and all that stuff. But luckily, it's a D shape. So this side has a flat. That should be easy. I've already picked out, measured it, 3/8. 3/8 is going to be our final hole diameter. So I picked out a 3/8, a quarter, and 1/8 to step it up and go through there. So time to drill. Oh, also got the vacuum to pick up all the chips. We got it covered. Okay, made a mistake there. Remember I said I took this retainer off? Well, I put it back on upside down. I only noticed that because it covers this hole here where I want to insert the locking pin. This locking pin is for locking the transmission for adjustments, or locking the shifter for adjustments, but it would also help to lock it while I drill this hole up here. Oh well. Comes out again. Oops. Oops. There's your Torx. Right. So that goes this way. With the thing that says Germany. And the Volkswagen part number facing up. Volkswagen Audi part number. Cool. Love those little stamps. Okay. Gonna have to use both hands, but it didn't go far. That's better. Now we can insert this pin. It's somewhere in between first and second gear or something there. Now this pin looks fancy. I got this from my old job. It's just there's some kind of a packaging material, but it happens to fit pretty darn close to what's supposed to go in there, so it's kind of neat. All right, so that's locked in there now. Now I can give it a drill. Yeah, one-handed vacuuming, not great. Get out of here. Oh, jeez. Good enough. Yeah, so came out pretty good. Pretty close to the wall thickness there. Focus. Do that YouTuber trick. Focus. No? Nothing? What if I click on the screen? There you go. Yeah, pretty close to the wall thickness there. I did deburr it with a round file. So yeah, it takes a lot of tools just to drill one hole. This is what I'm talking about. Perfect. clears all the wires. Not going to be any chafing. I got some zip ties there. Said clamp the other side on. It's perfect. The alignment that aligns the center line of the shifter with the center line of the vehicle. I mean, you could not ask for more than that. That's a couple wraps of tape too many. See how there's that little bit there where it's pinched? I want it to be tight and not pinched like that. It won't fully come together that way, but I also don't want it to be loose, so fine tuning. That's why I'm whispering. Wait a second. Now these pieces are exactly the right thickness. Stick that in there. Wind her down. Well, pretty damn close. We're going to work with that. It's a hard plastic. I don't want to use rubber because I don't want it to compress, because when it compresses, that's when the plastic... That took a lot of hot glue. Get melting down there, but these things are in, and I made sure that I didn't, go into where the shaft fits. Those things are in, and they line up, and I've test fitted it several times, and the two halves come together, and they clamp onto there. So this is ready to go in the car. This is what all the hard work and fitting comes down to. I mean, it's not hard work, but it's time consuming. So that you can drop that in there. Come on, one-handed operations here. It's just not... Fits perfect. My shims are in there. Bolt the other side on. Okay, last screw is going in. The other ones have been extremely satisfying. Nothing's stripped, nothing's cracked, but it does make some creaking sounds as you get down to the bottom as the two halves come together, I think. So let's listen. Perfect. Perfect. That was a creaking sound. That was not a cracking sound. That means surprise. Coming off from last time. Oh shoot, I have to unplug the wires so I went through the hole. Give me a second, Hal. Click. Click. One-handed. How do they do this? They probably use tripods or something. Okay, give me a second. Okay, just gave the top a little tuck and roll there. Bring everything through. Snap this in. Oh, come on. Uh-oh. What's going on there? Oh, you stick the front in first? Sure. Front in first. Could try that. Hey! Yeah, new boot, old ring. I don't know if you can see the damage on chrome, but who cares? Because that's rolled nicely. Okay, last time. Last clip for real here. It's all back together. It's first gear, the cup holder, second, third, fourth, fifth. It's way over there. Neutral, reverse. Perfect. Thanks for watching.